Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Hasbro's big move as they change their corporate headquarters. And on top of that, we're also going to take a look at Takara's extraordinarily awesome releases, even though they're very expensive. Of course, I got a lot to talk about, so sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchase some merch. Links in the description below. Alright, so let's talk about Hasbro's big move. And what they are deciding to do is to change their headquarters from Rhode Island out of Pawtucket into Boston. Because, well, it seems that Boston is trying to court a lot of corporate headquarters by giving them big tax breaks. And this is probably one of the reasons why, Hasbro was pulling off a lot of their layoffs and, having people, leave the company, is because they're looking to go straight into this same place that Lego is moving their US headquarters to. Probably because there's a lot of collaboration between them. There's Lego Soundwave that had come out and a bunch of other things that, of course, so it might be better for them, but the people who are working for Hasbro, they have to either pick up and move or go work for another company. And it might not be the most easiest thing to do, which is probably why it took them almost a year to get to this point. But I don't, I hate to have to talk about the corporate end of things when it comes down to Hasbro, because, the actual Transformers design team, you have Mark, you have Evan, and they are doing amazing stuff as far as designing for Transformers is concerned. But the corporate upper heads, they're making some weird moves, and I don't necessarily think it's the best, especially considering how Transformers is kind of going through a rocky road as far as a franchise is concerned. I mean, you've got a fractured, movies that are not necessarily being produced. Paramount wants to make movies. Hasbro doesn't want to fund it. You have, cartoons that are coming out that, they're trying to appeal to a younger audience. And I will say that Transformers Cyberworld is kind of a fun show, even though it's its own weird little universe. Earthspark wasn't well received, even though they made a lot of episodes for it, and it didn't, wasn't premiered on TV well enough for people to really get into it. And then, of course, the toy line didn't sell, which obviously hurt. But this move is done, is kind of something that Hasbro was preparing to do for quite some time, and you can kind of see just based upon this that Chris Cox, together these offices will fuel the next chapter of Hasbro. Okay, well, hopefully the next chapter of Hasbro does better on distribution. Because you get something like this. Transformers Earthspark Deluxe Class Cosmos. Now, the Legacy figure is a re-release of the Generations toy. And then you have this Cosmos figure, who is the character that showed up in the Earthspark cartoon, where his alternate mode, his space shuttle mode, was actually based on a tilt-a-whirl, kind of an amusement park ride that you kind of get into, which is why his weapons are the way they are, and he's voiced by Weird Al Yankovic, which is kind of neat. But still, it's a great-looking Cosmos figure, but it's out of stock, clearly. So trying to get your hands on it is not going to be that easy, all things considered. Because, well, Cosmos is one of those characters. His figure, his Legacy figure, is hard to get. The one that came out was a Walmart exclusive, was a hard one to get, and now this one is also out of stock everywhere. So people who are collecting the Earthspark toys, even if they're not fans of the show, have a hard time collecting them because it's distribution is not that great, and that's something that Hasbro really needs to work on. They need to work on getting the figures out to people, because Walmart and Target, they only have a limited amount of shelf space. They've got to centralize Transformers a little bit more to try and strengthen the brand, because it's a lot of different cogs moving all over the place. I mean, granted, you get awesome things like Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus, which, again, this one everybody really, really wanted. And then distribution was like terrible for him. And then they reissued him, and now everybody's getting him. But then it's like, okay, well, now can you get Studio Series 86 Grimlock? Can you get Studio Series 86 Megatron? It's hard to get those figures. And then people who want to get the Baber stuff, it's a whole different ballgame when it comes down to it, because the online retailers seem to be having a harder time getting the figures in. And Walmart and Target are getting stuff in, but you'll see like one figure will be the shelf warmer and one figure will not be. I was just recently in Walmart and I saw Studio Series 86 Grimlock next to Age of the Primes Generation 2 Grimlock. So it was like a gray and a blue Grimlock right next to each other, meaning that Megatron was there. I missed him, right? So, you know, there's that. And then, of course, trying to get your hands on the Constructicons. It's like, man, like it's so difficult. But on top of that, the price of figures has gone through the roof. And we can go in, you know, I'm not going to get into the political jargon of why prices are the way they are, but it kind of stinks when like all this stuff that's coming out, it's so pricey to get it. And then you have to sit there and go, well, can I justify buying that figure, right? But some people are going, you know what, I'm just going to import. And let's be real, Takara's putting out something awesome. You've got Missing Link Ultra Magnus, the Generation 1 toy retooled so that you get a posable Generation 1 Ultra Magnus. Like all of the features, minus the launching missiles. The missiles are now just detachable. But all of the features of that this toy had originally are there on top of being posable. He has knees. He has, you know, waist. It seems to have waist articulation. He does have, you know, he's able to bend at the legs. He's got arm articulation. Even the chest opens up so it has the matrix. All of this stuff is there, but it's pricey. But it's not as pricey in Japan. But you're paying, of course, obviously an extra $50 to import that thing. You know, you take a look here, and it's the white cab Optimus Prime that Ultra Magnus transformed into. He's still a car carrier. And they're even showing like a Generation 1 Silverbolt and the Missing Link RC, Corden, and Sunstreaker figures there. And like that was like a thing that this original toy had. It was like a lot of this extra play feature. But on top of that, the Diaclone figure that was not included in the US release of Ultra Magnus was this little car that you were able to, you know, put the blaster on and put it to a Diaclone pilot into. Well, now they've actually made it a transforming robot named Deerstalker, which is kind of weird. But you can see here the original Ultra Magnus compared to the Missing Link one. And the Missing Link one is a lot more posable, but it has all the same play features. The head, the actual crest of his head, attaches to the chest plate so that it becomes like a little riding vehicle. And of course it comes with the Diaclone pilot. The back of the legs on this, you know, cab are retooled from the first Missing Link Optimus Prime so that it gives him the posability that he didn't have before. That's how you're able to get this whole, you know, bend at the knees, bend at the legs. And I did see the comment that someone was saying, like, oh, he's still going to be a brick. They're not going to be able to get that figure to be posable. Well, they did. They were able to do it. And he's got opening fists. Man, this thing is so cool. But when you're going to import this thing, you're going to be spending about $200 for this figure. It's a lot of money, right? To get a fully posable Generation 1 Ultra Magnus that looks fantastic. But it's pricey. And that really is the thing that is driving a lot of fans to go, man, I'm almost getting priced out of the hobby. You know, and it's like the same thing here for the Nemesis Prime set, which, you know, this one, I think it's only $60, I think, for this figure. Whereas you're getting the cab section for, you know, Nemesis Prime alongside the 3 mini-cons that transform into the sword. So he does have the Star Saber. It would have been cooler, I think, if it was like a Dark Saber, to like that would be the one that Nemesis Prime has, and then release the Minicon set separately. That would have been better for a lot of fans that way. But, I mean, if you're a Transformers Armada or a Micron Legend fan, and you want to get this Nemesis Prime figure, go for it. But again, it kind of gets me like Cosmos, Nemesis Prime, Ultra Magnus, all three of them. I've definitely got to do something about their retrospective videos. Updating them for a little bit. Or I think for Ultra Magnus probably a part 2, but Nemesis Prime could probably benefit from a remaster, and same thing for Cosmos. But on top of that, Takara is also releasing the Dramatic Capture set. And I talked about Ultra Magnus and this Dramatic Capture set in my last video, but they're really making this set attractive. Like, really making it attractive, because you can see, like, they are fully cartoon accurate versions of the Insecticons. So you've got the purple fists on Shrapnel. You have the fully black arms on Bombshell, as well as his thighs being fully silver. And his chest is also going to be gray on both sides. It's not going to be like purple on one side and black on the other, or I think it was purple on the other side. It was purple and black. Yeah, I think it was purple and black. And, Kickback having a little bit better color apps, like it's a unified purple between all three. I mean, it's unified purple between all of them, actually. Because Skywarp here has, is also cartoon accurate, but his head is not the, screaming face. So that really is like the attractive thing for Skywarp. And, it makes his figure look great. But again, they're releasing a Studio Series 86 mold, which is going to improve upon this in a lot of ways. The Insecticons are great. Each one looks amazing, right? But on top of that, they all have Energon cubes. Each of them are going to come with an Energon cube for them to eat, but then there's more. They come with extra accessories. If you miss the accessory pack for the Centaurian, you're going to be able to get Shockwave, Reflector, Megatron, and Soundwave fully painted, not like the accessory pack was, where it was just basically like almost not even painted at all. But these are going to be fully painted accessories for you that come with the set. So it's making it a lot more attractive. It's like, hey, we realize that not everybody is going to want to go for this set, because they're perfectly fine with the Insecticons, or they're perfectly fine with Skywarp or whatever. Or they want to wait for the Studio Series 86 version, and it's like, okay, Takara is really, really, really going all in on the collector's market, and Hasbro needs to capitalize on this. But will they? Probably not. Kind of stinks, because like Reflector looks great in that little camera mode. Shockwave looks awesome there, fully painted as he's supposed to be. Megatron with the silver on him. And getting all of the detail there on Soundwave is great too. So it makes the set very attractive. But at the same time, it's like, if you already got the Insecticons, are you pleased with them? Or do you want to get the upgrade? Are you okay getting another Skywarp figure? And then on top of getting that Skywarp, getting the Studio Series 86 one when that one comes out. So it's like a give and take. And I think a lot of collectors are feeling that burn when it comes down to, how much money are they spending on their hobby, and how expensive these figures are when they come out. You can kind of already see, like, trying to get your hands on the Constructicons. It's like $90 for 2 of them. And, in order to get the center portion of Devastator, it's kind of expensive for some people. Not everybody can afford that. Not everybody can afford the $90 for this Ultra Magnus, let alone the $200 for the Missing Link one. Hasbro's distribution has been poor. So it's kind of a give and take when it comes down to the price of the figures themselves, but also the distribution of them. Finding them on the toy store shelves is almost an impossibility. And then trying to get more animated series out there that attract fans to collect this stuff is also difficult. And both Hasbro and Takara have to find that balance. Still, that being said, it's like, man, they are releasing, like, this is how they should have released the figures in the first place. That's my opinion. They should have released these figures this way the first time. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you guys excited about any of these Takara releases? What's your thoughts on Hasbro leaving Rhode Island? How much do you think that's going to hurt that state's economy? And how do you think it's going to affect Boston when they move there? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have more retrospectives coming in the future, and I want to know what retrospectives you want to see. So I want to see your comments down below about all of them. Of course, stay tuned for all of that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.